Just a quick YouTube video today, guys. Sorry if the camera's a little shaky. My hands are quite shaky. Got a little low blood sugar right now. But I wanted to show you a quick tutorial on something I just came up with on the spot. So I got this old Rivarossi tender here. We're in the process of converting this old locomotive, this 844 FEF, to DCC and sound. I made a little baffle here for my speaker. And I got my Decoder Buddy Mini here. And the problem with these tenders is that the shell does not come off like a traditional tender where the wheels drop out and you can get to everything. For these, they've got a butt on each end, basically. Each end of the tender is a plug, and it's glued on there. So you have to very carefully go around the glue seam with an X-Acto blade and cut the plastic. It's the only way. You have to cut the plastic that is, because there's like a little lip on this whole end around here. You got to cut that off. And once you cut that off, because the glue is on these surfaces, it's on the flat surfaces of the sides and the bottom. Once you cut all that, this will come off no problem. And it'll even go back on no problem. But you could always put some little neodymium magnets in there to make it stay. Now, the problem with this, once you get that off, is you got to put your decoder in here, but your speaker has to be way up here so that it can let the sound out through the coal load where I've drilled holes here. This is what most people do. And then when this is all done, I'm going to go over that coal load with some glue and artificial coal and make it look more realistic, and it'll hide those holes while still allowing sound to flow through. Anyway, so I drilled out the rivet on the bottom here for the weight, took the weight out of it, because the weight is unfortunately made of steel, and steel attracts magnets. So I didn't want to damage my speaker. So what do? Well, I picked up some of these little weights, little car weights. They had these they're for soapbox cars. Here's the part number here. It's new standard fine scale models. Steel weights, thick, 850 A-line for trains. Anyway, for trains or soapbox cars, they sold them for soapbox cars at the hobby shop. That's where I got them. Anyway, and I glued those. They come with self-adhesive, like a tire weight, and you just tear off however many you need, put them in there. I found that one run of these is all you need to make this feel heavy, like any other tender, like from Athearn or anything. Anyway, you need your speaker to be up here. And it's nearly impossible to get your finger all the way down there to finagle and mount it. You don't want just dangling around and rattling around in there. So I came up with this idea for a cradle. So I took two I-beams and I glued one to either side of the tender and made a little cradle for it. So now you just grab here. It's hard to do this with one hand. And you pull the cradle out. And you can take your tender away. And in this cradle, your Decoder Buddy will fit snugly in there along with your speaker. You glue those in, or double-sided sticky tape them in, and you take your cradle and you're just gonna put it back in there. Again, this is extremely difficult to do with one hand. I think I'm cross-thread on the I-beams a little bit, but you get the idea. The cradle goes back in. I'm having a hard time doing this with one hand, but the cradle goes all the way back in, locates the speaker below the coal load, allowing the sound to flow up where it should, and you have yourself a sound-equipped locomotive. Then you just gotta drill a little hole here in the front. I like to drill it where that little circular bit is right there. Just drill that out, smooth it down with a file so it doesn't tear any wires, and run your wires through there to a little Molex connector. You can get a kit on Amazon for like 30 bucks. They give you the crimping tool and everything. And you attach all your wires to the Molex so that way you can disconnect your tender from your locomotive and still put it back in its original box. And that's it. There's nothing else to it. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna run an LED to this right here because luckily this is actually completely clear. So we're gonna put a little surface mount LED action in there. And it's going to be a slick little 844 locomotive here. And I'm not going to have much more than about $200 invested in this thing. So compare that to Athearn or, you know, don't even think about Broadway Limited. You know, yes, you're not going to get Broadway Limited detail. You know, a lot of stuff on this shell is, you know, it's molded on detail, but there's a lot of separately applied stuff too. Some things you wouldn't expect, like that little throttle linkage right there and things like that. They did a decent job. They did a decent job. And yeah, the pickups on these aren't the best, and the motors are not serviceable, but you can make it serviceable. See, I dremeled out a little divot right there. And what that allowed me to do was get my fiberglass pencil in there and clean that commutator. I just put a little 9-volt battery to the 2 leads here, spun her up, stuck the pencil in there, cleaned it up, then took my razor blade, went in the grooves, cleaned the grooves out, and now this thing runs smooth as butter. Rolled up the bushings on it, and it's good to go for another 20, 40 years. So that's about it, guys. Quick video, just a tutorial, how to install your sound in your Rivarossi tender. There's literally no video on this for these UP FEF series or the Challengers or the Big Buzz. They all use the same tender, and it's really hard, guys, to do this. And I just came up with this on the fly, and I figured, you know what, someone ought to share this. So here I am sharing it, and I hope that someone out there who sees this video will find benefit from it, because man, this was a real conundrum. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, please give it a like. And if you like what you see here, please subscribe. I will be sparsely uploading content here and there whenever I feel the need. I'm not a career YouTuber. I just do this for fun. But if you want to tune in for more little tricks, tips, and hobbies, hey, subscribe to the channel. And I read all my comments, and I'll be sure to reply to whoever comments on here. I may be a little slow sometimes on my replies, but I will do my best. And if you got any questions, put them down in the comments section. Thanks for watching.